Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and every single thing in between. I'm your host.
Hey, great girlfriends. Happy Wednesday. I'm so excited to be live tonight, trying out some new technology. This technology thing is not always friendly and we have to be patient. And I'm so glad to be on with our soul coach tonight, Rha Goddess, who helped me be patient. Rha, you helped me because you were so still.
Thank you.
You were so still. You were so at peace, and you were just waiting patiently and beautifully. And I was like, I'm going to be like Rha when I grow up, and I'm going to be still and patient and peaceful. That's what I'm going to do.
Ooh, let's go.
I'll try a little bit of that. But no, great girlfriends, this is a real treat. We're all pivoting right now.
Yeah.
Like everyone's playing a big old game of switcheroo. And who would have thunk, right, that we would be where we are right now? But there's so many advantages because I feel that I have met some of the most incredible people along the way since we've been under the stay-at-home order. And so in this journey, even prior to this journey, I was going to meet Rha. We were going to have our whole situationship and get together and do what we do, right?
Absolutely.
That was happening because Rha was scheduled and is still scheduled to be a speaker at the Great Girlfriends Conference. And so in the middle of that shift and me just doing some reading and digging up on Rha, and I'm going to give you a little bit about that, I was like, we got to get her book first for the book club. That has to happen. And as we were doing this virtual experience where we start bringing in different experts, she was one of the people that came to mind and came to spirit. And so I just had everyone reach out to see if we could get her on tonight to help us kind of push through the mental of all of this. Because yes, there's been a lot of high moments for some of us. Those of us have been fortunate to kind of have experiences online and dig into community and be safe and start cooking and whatever new things we've picked up. There's also been a lot of lows.
Yeah.
A lot. And so tonight we are just going to have a little bit of a soul experience. And so I want to just give you a little bit of Rha's background. Is that okay, Rha?
Of course.
Okay. This is a really brief on who Rha is. So Rha Goddess is an entrepreneurial soul coach behind hundreds of breakthrough change makers, cultural visionaries, and social entrepreneurs, from New York Times bestsellers to multi-million-dollar social enterprises. As CEO of Move the Crowd, Rha is galvanizing a movement of 3 million entrepreneurs dedicated to reimagining work as a vehicle for creative expression, financial freedom, and societal transformation. She's passionate about creating a whole self approach to entrepreneurship, and her unique methodology has empowered a new generation of conscious entrepreneurs to stay true, get paid, and do good. I love it, Rha. I want to stay true, get paid, and do good.
Yes. Don't we all?
Don't we all?
Hopefully.
If you want to stay true, get paid, and do good, I want to see some hearts and some comments below, because I think that that's the way we do this, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but it comes with some complexity. Tell us how you got started, Rha.
So, I don't ever believe, when you really sit down and talk with people about their journeys, I don't ever believe it's a straight line. It's a lot of zigzagging going on, right?
Yeah.
And, for me, very much that was the case. I like to describe myself as a change of life baby born into the intersection of civil rights and hip hop. My parents born in the 1920s. They had me when they were in their 40s. Y'all are doing the math. You get it. You get about where I'm at.
Right.
But, growing up, they were on the front lines, very much on the front lines of the movement, and instilled in my siblings and I at a very young age, the value of family, the importance of education, and the importance of community. And, if we ever had any opportunity or any advantage, we had a responsibility to open a door for someone else, to make a way, to bring other people with us. And, it instilled that in us in a very, very young age. My mother used to have this saying, there before the grace of God go I.
Yes.
And they didn't just talk it, they actually really lived it. So both of them were very much on the front line, working in community, dealing with very, very vulnerable populations, trying to help people put it together. And we got to bear witness to that growing up firsthand. And so, it's in my DNA, and I, went on to, go to college and then join a Fortune 50 corporation and work on the front line of the chemicals industry for a number of years, but always in the back or even on the side. I was always volunteering, always, on my weekends and my evenings. There was always this pull, this call to be in communities and to be in organizations and entities where I could be sharing whatever I was gaining from my corporate experience. And then I went through something called a Saturn's return. And usually they say it happens every 24 to 27 years. And it's basically where the universe takes your life and it picks it up and it just turns everything upside down and it kind of shakes. Just imagine somebody grabbing your purse, turning it upside down and shaking the contents.
All your stuff out. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. That is exactly what went on. And literally for me, it came through the death of 5 people very, very close to me in a very, very young age. And that was sort of the first kind of threshold of me starting to ask these bigger questions. And, and again, I was 26 at the time, and the first person to pass was my mother, very suddenly, very unexpectedly. And so, for those of us who have had that rites of passage, we know it can be incredibly disorienting, even if you don't necessarily have the greatest relationship with your mother, right? Just saying, right? It can be incredibly disorienting. And so, I was asking some of those bigger questions, like, who am I? What is this about? What am I supposed to be doing with my life? And I kept being shown this path of service. I kept being shown this path of empowerment, this path of liberation. And I was very appreciative of it, but I had to keep reminding the universe, I don't know how to describe what you're showing me. People pay me checks to do this over here, so I'm going to stay over here.
So this vision thing.
Right. I'm going to stay over here with the check.
I might take that to the bank. Right.
And I say that because so many of us who are called to our passion and our purpose often struggle with that.
Oh, yes.
Even when we know what it is, even when, when we close our eyes and we think about our greatest fantasy or our greatest dream, we see ourselves doing that thing. But if we can't navigate or answer, the sort of more practical, quote unquote, grounded questions, often we're like, that's cute, but it'll go on the back burner, right?
That's right.
And so, I was very much one of those people, came kicking and screaming, as Jan likes to call a spiritual special ed, for sure. I was that person. And then it really came to a head for me a few years later, where I was coming home from a consulting gig in the evening, living in Brooklyn at the time, in Bed-Stuy. Shout out Bed-Stuy.
I know Brooklyn's in the house. They always
are, no matter where you are in the world.
Brooklyn.
No matter where you are
in the house.
That's right. No matter where you are in the world, this is true.
I gotta tell you really quickly. I was in Israel a couple years back, and I remember meeting someone with an American accent. I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "Brooklyn." I'm like, "Not New York?" He's like, "No, Brooklyn." I said, "You're right, because Brooklyn is from Brooklyn." So let me just shout out to Brooklyn. We see
always,
as you were.
So, coming home and walking up my front gateway, and a guy pulls up on a bike and he's asking where a neighbor is, and I don't recognize the name, and I kind of look up and I look back down and he's pointing a gun. Needless to say, we go through a whole exchange, and during like the moment that I'm aware of what's happening, I feel this kind of beam of energy come down through the top of my head and into the soles of my feet. And it's really planting me, and my mouth opens, and, and whatever the force of the energy is, starts speaking. And ultimately this gentleman wound up firing at point blank range.
No.
And, for all intents and purposes, he should have hit me. But we saw the bullet leave the chamber. We saw the light flash. We saw the smoke, the sound. But I'm still standing, and he's continuing to fire, and I'm still standing. And then at some point the gun jams. And it was fascinating to watch because, of course, after quite a bit of therapy and, and some distance, I could laugh because on some level it was comical because, when he shot, he looked down, I looked down, like we both were kind of like,
Right.
wait, what just happened? You know what I mean? What just happened here? And he was as shocked as I was because we were both watching it go down. Right. But, I say this often that though I can't tell you where the bullets went, I certainly will tell you that the message was not lost on me. That it was time to stop ducking and dodging and running and hiding. And I kind of made peace that night and sort of said, okay, I'm going to surrender and I'm going to trust that you're going to guide me in how to do this because I have no idea how to get from where I am right now to what it is that you're showing me, but I'm willing to be shown. And that was the beginning for me of a whole new path and a whole new reality that ultimately has me firmly planted and seated in what my work is today.
You said something so powerful. You said, I'm willing to be shown. Isn't that the truth? So many times we don't even, if we can't see the process, we just don't want to see any of it. And so many people are shelving their vision and they're shelving their dreams because they don't understand that you have to be willing to be shown. Yeah. That's where the journey begins, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, my honor and privilege in terms of my work is to help people cross that threshold. Concerns and all, fears and all, insecurities and all.
Yeah, absolutely.
help you come over the line and do it in a way that is authentic, in a way that is profitable, and in a way that is deeply impactful.
I love that. I'm a kicking and screaming entrepreneur. I wasn't the one that was like, I'm just going to go be the strong boss entrepreneur. My mission landed me outside of the box. And so for that reason, I wake up some days and I just want to go find a job that's going to secure me, quote unquote. Yeah. But, these perilous times are proving to us that the only security is what we have on the inside that allows us to punctuate on the outside, right?
Absolutely.
So, Rha, there's a lot of mental chaos. I just want to keep it 100. A lot of people have become teachers, chefs, even in jobs that they didn't even consider essential workers. So then they became frontliners. All of a sudden they're foot soldiers.
Yeah.
You were just, you were what you would consider having an ordinary day. And then it became very different. Taking on a ton of titles. Our homes are filled, A lot of us have touch points with families twice a day and now all day we're dwelling. A lot of people are home with an abuser. Yeah. A lot of people are home single and feeling isolated. A lot of people are home having to balance teaching children who have different needs and managing things that teachers are really, really strong at, that parents sort of trust off in the process, or medical conditions, all these things. There's a lot of collision that's happening now that had not happened February, pick a date.
No, absolutely true.
Yeah. And so for that reason, we don't know what the data will look like after this, but we know we're in the middle of this and we know that people need peace. People need stability and they need to be able to locate a center place where they can dwell. And that's your work. So I listen, I'm here to ask the questions. I'm here to dive in, and people have sent in some questions. And one of them was, if you don't mind, you want me to dive in?
No. Absolutely. Let's go.
Okay. So this one mom who says she's a teacher, she's a mom of 4. So she's a teacher. So good Lord. This didn't dawn on me until my own children's, one of my daughter's teacher had her daughter's Aladdin playing in the background. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, teachers have kids too. So you have to be home to teach your kids, but also be available to teach the children that you are assigned to. So this woman says, so many women are overwhelmed. How do we lift the weight of responsibility during this time? And How do we do that?
So the first thing is you've got to give yourself permission to put you first, because nothing is happening if you aren't happening. And it is so reverse psychology for so many of us because our knee-jerk reaction, like we don't even think about it. Our first instinct is to tend to ours, right? Our babies, our parents, our spouses, if we have them, our partners, however we're defining our family structure, right? And extended family, right?
Right.
In whatever ways that we define that. And so the building and forging the new habit of being willing to put your oxygen mask on first is the work, is the work. And, you know, when you're talking about how to juggle what was, you know, 4 roles, which you were already swimming, you know, and now it's 8, right? And I want to shout out to all of our teachers there because every parent that I have spoken to has said, oh my God, teachers are so underpaid. And we just talk about it. You know, this is after 2 days of homeschooling.
Amen.
You know, right? People are ready to
Yes.
you know, they just like, I don't even understand how they do it. But we have become comfortable with the narrative of being overwhelmed and exhausted. It is sort of like if you're a powerful woman or you're a modern woman, however you define or describe yourself, being exhausted and overwhelmed is supposed to automatically come with the territory, right? And we have to be willing to redefine that. You know, and it doesn't make us any less powerful. It doesn't make us any less brilliant. It doesn't make us any less capable. But we have to forge some new habits. The first being really creating time and space for ourselves, even if it's we're locking ourselves in the bathroom with like a little do not disturb sticky on the door. Right? Like we got to get
why you can't put a sticky because then they know you're there. You just got to go hide out.
You see what I mean? Like lock it, cut the lights off. You feel me? With the closet, you know, y'all know wherever those hiding places are, right? You know, wherever you put those good snacks, like that's where you need to be, and like claim it for yourself. And even if it's just 5 minutes, that you hold the commitment that time is not going to be galvanized by anything else. It's not going to be upended by anything else. So that's the first thing. The second thing is being willing to make requests. A lot of us feel so capable or just are used to, again, by habit, by nature, we're used to doing it all. And so I know even I have to watch myself, right, with my husband, like, wait a minute, let me ask him. Unload the dishwasher. Let me ask him, you know what I mean? And I think this practice of us being willing to make those requests of others, whether they're in our immediate circle or in our household or extended fam, you know, that this opportunity to do that. And then the third thing is really understanding what really, really, really is important. And I say that because sometimes we put everything on equal
at the top.
But if we're willing to challenge ourselves and we're willing to interrogate a little bit deeper, we may really find that instead of 8 things being critical, that 2 things are critical. Or 2 things are critical, right?
That is so true. You know, I will look at something that I was doing at the beginning of our stay at home, which was every time I cooked, I was washing the dishes and putting them away. And now it's once a day. if once a day, because when my husband will help, don't get me wrong, but at that time I felt like I needed to just keep the kitchen clean. Like it was like, I gotta keep all environment clean. They're not gonna take this whole house, but no, y'all can have the kitchen. I'll deal with that later. I just stopped doing it back to back to back because my time was being lost to me trying to control and have a perfect house. And that's not a realistic picture. And what you say, you know, that reminds me to prioritize, and my priorities were off. You know, it was trying to control the controllables, and and my new controllable is I'm happy that we ate today. I'm not even caring about the dishes. That thing is just there. Yeah.
And I think that letting go piece is a practice.
Yeah.
You know, it isn't kind of like we get it once and we're done. Like I think every minute of every day, we may need to be asking ourselves, well, wait a minute, okay, what can I let go? You know, anything that's got you breathing heavy. Let me just say that there's an invitation to let go in the middle of it.
I love that. There's an invitation to let go in the middle of it. That's so good.
You know,
it as an invitation to let go. Gosh, they come all day. They come all
day long. Truly. Truly, truly, and I think that's the other thing I will say, we, in the context of our work at Move the Crowd and the way that we've been communicating with our community about this time, we've been calling it the sacred pause, and from my perspective, there's a much deeper meaning for why we are where we are. There's always something bigger operating, right? Whether we know it or not, whether we understand it or not, whether we like it or not, there's always something bigger at play. That we are part of a much bigger cosmic ecosystem of understanding. And so, the opportunity for us is to really look at, how do we want to use this time?
Yeah.
Right. How do we want to use this time? Now, here's the real deal, right? For some of us, we needed to sit down. Well, the truth is all of us did, clearly, because the universe put all of us on timeout.
It was a whole sit down.
It was like, because we came out of 2020. We came into 2020 like we were shot out of a cannon.
Yeah.
Like whatever we didn't get last decade, we getting it this year.
Yes. And then it was sat down.
We were so intense, dare I say. And I don't know if you all were feeling the intensity, but I know I was. We was having conversations with people.
We were marching, a full marching band. Like, we were stomping in, like, yes, yes, yes.
You know what I mean? It was January and it felt like March. And I was like, man, what is going on? What is going on?
Like March, and you're in LA, so then Kobe hit, and that kind of put the world at a standstill, right? And I know you felt it more being in Los Angeles, but around the world there was this pause, and I don't think we even got up from Kobe before COVID hit, and it was
all back to back, and pre-Kobe, the impeachment. So you know what I mean? So right? So it was just the year kind of came in kicking and screaming. Let me say that, right? Yes. And this is for all of my astrologists out there and numerologists out there, any of those who follow any of those cosmic principles and disciplines. 2020 is described as a 4-year, and 4 is foundation. Mm-hmm. And of course, we know that foundation is home. So the mandate to go home.
Wow.
Right? If we really open it up and we start to explore and really interrogate into what the directive and the mandate is, a lot of us have been out ripping and running in the streets, and we haven't been tending to home. Yeah. Right? Now, for some of us, that's us. We need to come home to ourselves. Yeah. It means self-care needs to go to another level. Mm-hmm. We need to get more breaks in. We need to be breathing more. We need to be, getting our steps in, or getting our naps in, or having our feet rubbed, whatever those things are that enable us to self-nourish and self-nurture. Mm-hmm. For some of us, we're very squarely being called to that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For others of us, we got unfinished business. That's so now, whether the unfinished business is that closet we keep pushing clothes with our elbow and our knee and our, and keep promising to clean out one day.
Yes. Right.
Or whether it's an unraveling relationship that we've been ignoring by just, putting it all into work, so we don't have to deal, right? Just real talk, whatever it is, or our taxes or our finance, like whatever it is, that mandate is about getting our house in order, right? For others of us, the calling to come home is about realigning our energy with the truth, with the truth of who we are, with the truth of what we're here to offer and bring to the world, with the truth of what our passion is and what our purpose is. And so for some of us, we're experiencing that as creativity, right? So we are knitting. We making French bread. We having dinner parties on TikTok with our babies. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. Pancake biscuits. Oh Lord. I mean, and now I'm like, I ordered a waist trainer. I never had one before, but back to self-care, like you said.
Listen, I'm getting into a day, girl, right? I'm like, oh yeah, we come up out of this situation, right? Mama gonna be set, right?
I'm ready. Yes.
Right. And so whatever that call is, whether it is to self-nurture and self-care, whether it is to care for our environment or relationships, or whether it is to create room and space to imagine and dream what the next chapter is for us. This is all what is being held as the invitation into this sacred time.
listen, great girlfriends, I hope you are sitting and locating yourself in that invitation to a sacred time. And I know for sure, you know, a lot of people were saying, well, pandemic stole my 2020. And I'm like, pandemic didn't steal my 2020. I refuse to offer my entire year over to this circumstance. I want to sit, like you said, in the invitation. And I think it creates a new opportunity for us to really exfoliate and kind of shave back and peel off and, reset. And I think, this for me, you saying that reminds me that that's not something that a pandemic should remind us to do. A crisis. This is something that we should make a practice. So going back to question number one about lifting weight, I think, is it safe to say, Rha, that's an ongoing practice of resetting as needed or taking those invitations?
Yes, taking your space, making bold requests. This piece around being called to realign with your truth, a lot of us, I'm finding, Sybil, are finding our voices in a way that we never had before.
Absolutely.
And there's something about the orientation of space, especially if you have very little of it, that invites a new voice, and communications maybe that hadn't been happening before, but needed to happen, boundaries that hadn't been set before that needed to be set. Do you know what I mean? Like the invitations are everywhere. And so this bold request, this giving yourself permission to prioritize, and this practice of letting go are all of the things that will help start to lift some of the weight we're feeling if we find that those things are not things that we've been engaging previously. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. So good. Rob, my biggest, reminder was an invitation for gratitude because, my family's been blessed to not have anyone, experiencing the illness and being lost to the illness. And, we're blessed to have food and toilet paper, things that, we're just blessed on so many levels, even to be able to converse about this and not have to weather it in the ways that so many people are. And even if you are in the lowest of low circumstances, to breathe and be able to press through is an invitation to gratitude, right? Yeah. Okay. So this next question, it's so good because I considered this as well and have talked to the community a lot about this. How does social media influence your mental state?
That's great. So in my conversation about sacred pause to my community, there were 3 practices that I encouraged and invited us to take on. Right. The first has everything to do with being mindful of what we consume. It's one thing to be informed. It is another thing to be sucked into sensationalism. And it can be a very slippery slope. So there's a discipline that we're actually being encouraged to develop right now that has to do with get the essence of what is important and leave the rest alone.
Yes.
And so I particularly am somebody who fasts in general quite a bit. I'm not a huge fan of media. I think there are certain sources that really strive to do a good job and strive to operate with a high standard of integrity. And I appreciate those outlets and resources. And, and I have my 4 or 5 go-tos when I'm ready to go to them.
Yeah.
But in general, I am not one who consumes and consumes and consumes and consumes and consumes. And I want to encourage people, if you find that is something that you typically do, to start to wean yourself. And become very selective about what you're consuming, right? Which takes me to practice number 2, which is remain positive. How do you keep your energy high? So when you're consuming, you want to be consuming things that inspire you, not things that take you into the dark, right? And so we have to be mindful about that. Because we are co-creating all of the time. And we're co-creating not only with our words, not only with our actions, not only with our emotions, but the way that those things come together to create our vibration, right? Or our vibe, right? As our youngins would say, our vibe, right?
Yes.
And so if your vibe is low, your experience is going to be low.
Yeah.
If your vibe is high, your quality of experience is going to be high. And we have a responsibility to protect our enthusiasm, to nurture and care for our hope and our inspiration, especially now
Yeah.
And so when you're consuming, in whatever form you're consuming it, whether it's books or, media or social media or like whatever those ways in which music, whatever you're listening to, just ask yourself, like, how do I feel when I get to the other side of this? Do I feel uplifted or do I feel angry?
Right.
Do I feel, like I can take on the world, or do I feel like I want to pull the covers over my head and shut the world out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And really, really important for us to be noticing that. The other part of this high vibration commitment, and notice I'm speaking as a commitment, right? It's not something that just falls out the sky.
Yeah.
We have to hold it like a practice and a commitment, is being really clear about what we're speaking.
Yeah.
So the more that we speak the thing that we do not want, the stronger the vibration of the thing that we do not want becomes. The more that we speak the thing that we do not want, the more we magnetize the thing that we do not want to us.
And can I say this, Rha? Because, it doesn't matter your religious affiliation. It doesn't matter. Every doctor, every scientist, every specialist, every technician, every every degree, everyone agrees that, life and death are in the power of your tongue, and that your confession is, like you said, will attract those things. So a lot of people think that you need to be of a certain affiliation to believe that. But it has been proven across so many levels. It's not just a thing people say to say. It's a truth.
Yeah. Law of vibration. Yeah, these are natural laws. Natural laws, universal principles, laws of nature.
Absolutely.
And so, like attract like energy is to your point, is very real, because all we are is okay. Now you're gonna have me put my science hat on.
It's so important, because I forget that we, in the physical sense, that we are energetic beings. We are literally carrying it, which is why certain people can rub you the wrong way,
That is all we are is vibrational matter.
Yeah.
So if we understand that, then this opportunity to really take care of our vibration becomes even more important, because we can magnetize well-being or we can magnetize illness.
Yeah.
We have to be aware of that. We also have to be aware of that, and we'll go here if folks feel inspired to, but we also have to be aware how we're speaking around our money.
Yes, we're inspired to go.
How we're thinking about our resources, how we're speaking about our resources.
Yes.
Right? And so we want to be very careful about what we're calling in energetically around our economy, our personal economy and our macro economy, because it becomes a chain reaction in the vibration. And so if we go into constriction, then everything else, it's sort of a domino effect, and everything else gets invited to come into constriction again, because we're meeting that vibration, right? That energy state. If we stay expanded and we stay open, and again, we ask to be guided, right? And we create the room and the space to listen for the guidance.
Yeah.
Then we have the opportunity to be led in new directions. We have the opportunity to receive new insights, new ideas, right? Mandates for how we ought to move that will enable us to weather this storm and weather well. Right?
Yes. Yes.
So this is our work, ladies. You know what I mean? Like this is our work, right? Yeah. And then the third practice is to develop the capacity to sit in uncertainty, which is the ultimate form of being willing to let go. This is about surrender. And for those of us who love to control everything.
And listen, most controlling people will say, I'm not controlling. I like things a certain way, man.
Right. However you want to spin it.
However you want to write that thing out.
However you want to spin it. This is the big old juicy invitation.
Yeah.
And to cultivate a new relationship with the magic and the mystery. Right? This invitation for all of us to slow down has everything to do with the information that wants to find its way to you. You know, I had a good girlfriend who used to say,
because I knew you were going to try to skip past that, and I'm just not going to allow it. I felt it. So, yeah, you said information is trying to find its way to you.
Yes.
By trying to control and have things a certain way and not open and expand ourselves to the idea that new and uncertain brings about new information.
Yes.
Revelation.
Yes.
Insights.
Yes.
Innovation.
Yes.
Tech people get it.
All of the above.
Yeah.
All of the above. Yeah. And we have to be willing to be still.
You know, we don't like to be still, Rob. We want to wipe the counter, sweep the floor, call mama, brush teeth, wash face, send email, start a new business, launch a website. We want to do it all at once. And you're telling the most busy people on the universe in the world to be still.
Yep.
Yeah. I agree. I find my whole life in stillness. I really do.
That is where the information is.
Yeah.
Right.
It's quite interesting. I was listening to an interview with Jonathan McReynolds. I'm not sure if you know him. He's a singer. And in the interview, the guy asked him where does he get most of his songs? And he said either on the toilet or in the shower. And I think those are two places where we may practice the most stillness. When you finally sit down for a second or you're in the shower and you are alone in your quiet thoughts, there's where that creative energy just whoosh. I mean, it surges.
Right. Now, I had a great girlfriend who said to me, God is patient. She'll wait for you to get still. Yeah. You can rip and run and back and forth and to the store and, back, right. They will wait. They'll wait till you get tired.
Yep.
Or till you're done banging your head, right?
Be so exhausted. You're like, what you say, Lord?
Yeah, exactly. You understand, right? And so I say all of that to also say that because we are stiller, there are important things for us to be observing. So one is the skies are starting to clear up. The oceans are starting to clear up. Species that were on the verge of extinction are starting to come back. And we've only been quiet, 6 weeks?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? The other thing to know is not only is the earth using this time to replenish herself, but the conversations are getting louder. The information is speaking louder. So you can hear it more.
Yeah.
Versus if you were still in the hustle and bustle of your day to day, it would be difficult not to. So being willing to intercept your own habit, being driven to busy, right? Your own sort of default to busy, right?
That's right.
Is what's going to create the room for you to receive what the download is for you. And there is a message for every single one of us right now.
That is so true. Oh my gosh, that's so good. One of the things that we talked about in the Great Girlfriend community a while back in reference to the social media is that so many people are, social media hopping, almost like a club, because don't get me wrong, there's events every night, right? It's popping. You can go live and you can see some of everything happening. But to be clear, most people are found doing what they are doing for work, right? So, for example, I want to just bring up D Nice because I love every night he has gone live. He's given us a whole vibe, right? You can just feel the vibration in culture. He has shifted the entire world, brought the world together through music, doing what he does for a living. So I can't go to work with D Nice every night. Unfortunately, I've got my own living to do. And, I want to remind people of that because you can't be everywhere all the time. And a lot of times, people are chasing the moment and chasing the trend, but you're catching people at work. If you catch a stylist who's styling online, if you catch a makeup artist who's giving tutorials daily, that person's at work. And you can't go to work with people every day. So you have to be conscious of how much chasing. And it also brought to light for me a little bit of people bondage. And why do we feel the need to be attached to every single thing that's happening all the time? The feeling of always needing to be somewhere. Right. Yeah. And so for the person that wrote that was a little bit of self-examination that I had to do for myself. And that I encouraged the Great Girlfriends community to do at the top of this thing, before we jump live every night with everyone, think about that. Why is it that we feel the need to be? Always got to go and be somewhere. Yeah. This next question, and I think you pretty much answered it, so we might have to skip past this, is what are ways to engage peacefully on a daily basis? And you gave us that at the top. You talked through that. This is a really great question, because I know we got to go soon, y'all. We can't keep Rha all night. I mean, I would keep, I would rock with you all night, but, how important are our great girlfriends? And I think that speaks to how important are your sister relationships in storms such as this one. And thank whatever great girlfriend for sending that in, because that was one of my questions as well. Yeah. How important are your sister relationships when you are looking to either increase your create better mental health relationship, or just build out some stability right now?
Yeah, they're everything. Everything. So part of the beauty of this moment is to remember that we are all experiencing it together. Mm-hmm. Even if the quality of our experience is different, we're all experiencing it together. And so there's a way that we have the potential to be more available for what we say is important to us. And that certainly means our relationships, right? So if our relationships are important to us, we have the opportunity to be available in a different way, right? Some of us still are working, right? It's a little bit different. Some of us may not be, right? Or some of us are on halftime. I mean, there are all kinds of arrangements, right? Going on right now. And so, in the context of self-care, we are going to need to strike that balance about where we place our time and our energy. But when we think about the relationships that most feed us, they are the most important relationships right now.
Yeah.
Right. So your great girlfriends, I know, Sybil and I have talked about this. I know how much you all feed and nourish and nurture each other. And so your bond and your connection becomes crucial in a time like this, because I would bet money, lots of it, that every single one of you in your own realities are the people that folks are looking to.
That's
so
right.
You all are the leaders. You all are the caretakers. You all are the beacons of light for everybody else, while you still got to come and get your well replenished. And so, the ability to remember that, and the ability to remind each other of that, and to create that space, that consistent time and space to touch in and be nourished and nurtured by those who nourish and nurture you, just by virtue of being in their presence, is so very, very important.
So true. So true. Such a point of awareness. And I think so many people are coming to realization of which friendships are fertilizing and which ones are weeds. And and be willing to pull the weeds, and fertilize the others, right? Because this is mental health, and who knew that we would need to tap in the way we have needed to in this time. But I just thank God for resources like you and specialists who are making themselves available to nurture and to keep us stimulated and to remind us of what is true, what is important, the essentials right now.
Yeah, it is my joy, really my joy.
Yeah, the work is, and what you said earlier, this is the work, this is our responsibility. But when you said that, it reminded me that this is what community and humanity looks like right now. This is doing your part, taking care of the essentials of self first, and then whatever else, moves beyond that. And doing that diligently and faithfully is what will create the preservation we need. So when we do enter the world, re-enter the world. This is crazy to say that, but when we do re-enter, we're prepared to put our best foot forward and claim what is meant for us for the remainder of the year. I just refuse. I'm not giving my whole year. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. And I want, again, right in the reframing, because I love your stand, like your commitment, right? 2020 is going to be about what I say it's going to be about.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm saying my year's not done, right?
Yeah. right. I want mine this year. Like,
yes. Yes. And, I had the privilege of doing a live with the amazing Queen Afua a couple weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
And shout out Queen Afua. And she was like, I'm not on that Q word. She's like, I can't even say that word. I'm on retreat. People ask me where I am. I'm on retreat, right?
Yeah.
So, I think our opportunity to reframe that, and not like forcing something on yourself that you don't feel ready for, because your energy's got to align. It isn't just what you say, it's what you vibe, right?
Yeah.
But the opportunity to work with that and be more open to, okay, what do I want to call this? How do I want to frame this? What could the gift of this time be for me?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. So for that reason, and many more reasons, Rha, your book, The Calling, is an essential read. Yeah. For me, I just wasn't ready to give it all up. I'm just, I'm going out, I'm boxing through this thing, and I took my time of rest, but I also am like, no, for me, God is still in control, and I'm going to allow that expanded opportunity to just bring what is mine forward. But before we go, great girlfriends, Rha is going to lead us in a quick meditation.
Yeah. Yes, let's do it, beauties. Let's do it. And I want to say, because for some of you, meditation may be something that is it's in your daily practice already. You have it firmly planted and rooted. And for others of you, you may be like, I've never meditated before. You may have other rituals and practices that you do, or you may not have any, but you may have a desire for them. Mm-hmm. I want to say that, the great Baba Muktananda, who was the ascended leader of the Siddha Yoga path, used to say that if you sit with the intention of meditating, you are meditating. Mm-hmm. So I say that because I don't want anyone to feel like, this is some complex thing that you have to, study in order to be able to do. If you have breath moving in you, you have the ability to come into stillness. And so I just want to invite you and encourage you to turn your attention to the breath, to adjust your posture in whatever way is comfortable for you. And you're just going to observe the breath as it moves. You'll watch the inhalation and the exhalation, the natural rising and falling, a natural expansion and contraction. And you just allow yourself to let go. Whatever is moving through your mind, simply allow, let go. Notice the body as it begins to settle into the chair or the couch, wherever you may be sitting right now. For those of you who may be standing as you're listening to this, just become aware of the soles of your feet touching the floor. Feel your connection to whatever is supporting you right now. And as you feel yourself begin to relax and release, bring your awareness into this present moment. And just become aware of all that you've received in the conversation tonight. Become aware of that you want to take with you as we move away from our time together. And take this moment to acknowledge yourself for making the time in the midst of everything that you may be holding right now. Making this time for you to be in community with your sisters. And to be in the gratitude for all of the ways in which this conversation and these insights will continue to open up and expand for you as you move through the days to come. Peace is your birthright. It is available to you always, yours to claim at a moment's notice. And as we begin to come back, in whatever way you want to bow, or just acknowledge yourself, give yourself a hug, or just pat on the shoulder, whatever feels right for you, as we seal the container together. You're wiggling your toes, starting to come back. Wiggling your fingers, coming back. Stretching if you need to, coming back. And then whenever you're ready, ever so gently, ever so slowly, opening your eyes.
Boy, that stillness is just something to just, hold on to. So Rha, I know this meditation is available, and I know that we got a link going in the comment thread, and we're also going to spread it out to the community, and we're going to use it over and over on this replay. I just want to thank you so much.
Oh, it's my joy, really my joy, Sybil, and thank you all so much for having me.
Listen, for those of you who were not on when we first jumped on, I was having all kind of, Teddy, they call it Teddy Tech now, it's Teddy Riley Tech. And I was having some tech issues. And Rha had this stillness and this patience. And I said, I want to have that when I grow up. I think I just grew up. And then you just grew me up. I just graduated a bit in terms of just what you introduced. So thank you so much. Where can our great girlfriends find you?
Yes. So I'm at Rha, and it's Rha Goddess, and that's on IG, that's on Facebook, that's on Twitter, and then LinkedIn, /Rha Goddess. And then our company website is movethecrowd.me. Move the crowd, like as in move me, movethecrowd.me. And then, of course, all things book related are The Calling Movement.com. The Calling Movement spelled out, thecallingmovement.com.
Awesome. Rha, you've got some thank yous coming in from the Great Girlfriend community. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So many thank yous. Lots of tweetable moments that took place. And Great Girlfriends, this is actually a live podcast recording. So thank you for being a part of this experience. And Rha, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm sending a ton of love and light your way.
Great girlfriends, did you enjoy this week's episode of the podcast? If so, would you please give us your amazing review on iTunes? Every single review helps another great girlfriend get plugged into the podcast, into the community. Speaking of community, make sure you join our Facebook group, The Great Girlfriends. You follow us on Instagram at The Great Girlfriends and on Twitter at @the_greatGFS. Last but not least, we'd like to thank my amazing husband, Kwaku, Sam and Dilly, and all of you for being a part of the global community that makes us so strong. Please remember to share with your friends. Keep listening and keep being a great girlfriend. I'm Sybil Amuti, and I'm out. Peace.